Have we thought about the fact that the culmination of Denji's goals is to be sexually assaulted by an adult? Reminder that Denji is 16. Welcome to Alternative Angle, the show where we look at things another way. And today's topic of conversation is once again Chainsaw Man, because there's a lot to say. It's great, you already know my feelings on it, and if you don't, you should check them out here. Today's episode has a big old trigger warning for both sexual assault and grooming, because we are about to cover some super sensitive and possibly deeply uncomfortable topics. Oftentimes when we talk about sexual assault, especially in the case of children, we tend to cut the child entity out of the conversation, which tracks because their brains aren't finished developing and the things they want might not necessarily be what is best for their health. This is why children have parents. In Denji's case, he's developing outside the periphery of adults who have no ulterior motive in his development and, disturbingly of all, actively want him to use his body in often damaging and extremely sacrificial ways. Before Denji merged with Pochita, Denji was already in the business of selling his body for money in the most literal sense, by letting people cut pieces off of him for payment. Our boy was 16 and down an eye and a testicle. Denji is a child. A 16-year-old is not an adult. Therefore, Denji is a child. I've learned with my fellow weebs that you have to lay out your points really carefully, otherwise when you arrive at the conclusion, they get inexplicably angry. The parallels between Denji's existence and that of sex workers cannot be accidental, and don't stop there. He is a young man who, in the most literal sense, got caught up with an impossible, insurmountable debt, who fell in with a bad crowd and began trading the use of his body for sexual favors. This particular coming-of-age story also deeply parallels many young men's journey into the military, another place where young people go to sell the use of their bodies, oftentimes with increased sexual gains being sold as part of the pitch. Both of these fields are deeply violent, deeply taxing on the body and mind, and actively use a person's physical body to earn their keep in the most literal sense. What's the matter? Never heard the military compared to sex work before? We clearly run in different circles. The way Makima folded Denji into her incredibly dangerous mission is a textbook way that abusers fold young people into their incredibly dangerous plans in a process called grooming, which can be broken out into 5 or so steps. This is not to say that these are the only methods that predators use to groom children, but these are the ones that emerged most during my research of this episode. I don't feel like I have to say this, but please don't use my video to educate yourself on how to be a predator to children. Denji is particularly susceptible to these methods because Denji's quality of life is so low. Denji doesn't need much to be made very happy. Similarly, groomers seek children on the fringes or who are experiencing some sort of obvious lack in order to draw in an easier victim. Step 1. Special attention. Groomers will often make a child feel special by singling them out, paying extra attention to their likes and dislikes. Makima does this immediately upon meeting Denji, giving him that hug he so desperately needed and gifting him with his greatest want at the time, a consistent source of food. Again, Denji had almost nothing when he met Makima, and so having someone offer to meet his basic needs is exactly as equivalent, if not more so, to being gifted with the latest toy or doodad. Step 2. Isolation. Predators will often invite their chosen child into fun activities that require them to be alone together. This is especially damning and red flag raising if the predator gets the child comfortable with parting with their clothes. Watch out for sleepovers. Step 3. Natural curiosity. A predator will take advantage of a child's natural curiosity about sex in order to push the envelope. Denji is a 16-year-old boy. His curiosity about holding hands, kissing girls, and touching titty are perfectly natural and as close to completely innocent as you can be as a 16-year-old boy. Denji is a child. Adults are fully developed, sexy people. What no one wants to talk about in the discussion of sexual assault that I'd like to focus on here is that, like Denji, many children who are manipulated into sexual assault are not innocent parties in the sense of how we like to think of children. They are naturally sexually curious. They are seeking healthy outlets for their feelings, and most people are very closed off about sex. They are deeply lacking in sexual education and really have no idea how their bodies work or what to do with them. Denji has a lot of unresolved feelings, and it's natural and normal that he should have them. It is up to the adults surrounding children to properly educate them on what is going on with their bodies and, not sexually assault them. While this problem is endemic to everyone on the sexual spectrum, I find it particularly compelling with boys, as the patriarchy has convinced boys that sexual conquest, no matter how dicey, is equal to social standing. And worse, for a while at least, they're right. I think it must be very hard to unpack that you've been sexually assaulted as a boy when everyone has spent your entire life high-fiving you and giving you early access to alcohol as a reward for the behavior. This is why the patriarchy is stupid. It hurts women and it hurts men. Step 4, breaking the touch barrier. Oftentimes, before an adult makes a predatory move on a child, they will desensitize the child to their touch. Think about it. Adults really don't go around touching children. When you see a child in the street, it's like, whose child is it? Why is the child alone? That ain't my child. Oh, is that a Twitter notification? This is a normal adult thought process when involving a child. Predatory adults will be sure to fracture this normalcy by making sure that their touch seems incredibly normal to their intended victim. Step 5, a listening ear and a co-conspirator. A predator who is trying to groom a child often chooses isolated children who don't seem close to their peers. They will serve themselves up as a listening ear for these lonely children, endearing themselves to the child and earning trust. They also treat children as if they are in cahoots together, often framing their interactions in an us versus them dynamic. Denji is literally a homeless boy who everyone thinks is dead. Denji's movements are strictly controlled by the public safety devil hunters. He and Power are essentially on house arrest, and it's fine for Denji because he feels safer with Makima. He is fed with Makima. Makima listens to all of his problems and constantly tells him to keep a stiff upper lip, offers encouragement and sexual incentives, and makes sure he knows he would be doing a great thing by sticking around and killing the gun devil. Like many 16-year-olds who are very suddenly gifted with the special intimate attention of the sexy older woman they've been crushing on, Denji is bowled over by her displays of care and affection and agrees to do whatever she wants, doubling down on his loyalty and letting us know that he plans to save himself for her in a scene where he turns down the predatory advances of another adult, Himino. The idea of saving oneself is a misplaced romantic idea that is often peddled to children as a healthy resolution for their growing sexuality. It is not. Denji absolutely has this misplaced resolution locked in and has made it his mission in life to achieve his ultimate goal, being assaulted by Makima. I really do like Chainsaw Man. It is a very compelling story on so many levels. It's a multi-layered masterpiece that I'm sure I've been enjoying just as much as any one of you. So, did I convince you that Makima is a groomer? I know some of these topics are hard to discuss, so if you've stuck around till this point, thanks a bunch. I also have totally peeped that you like me, so you might as well subscribe. Don't forget to make the notifications bell feel special as well. Shout out to my patron party. We are small, but we are great. Join it to fund my cosplays. Link in the description. If you want to chat with me or send me ideas, drop a nice comment or email me. Thank you all for watching. I'm Alisha, and until next time, stay sharp.